Thanks a lot. And again, it's a great opportunity to do another session with Plug and Play. So I'll tell you in the next few minutes just about OpenLegacy, what we have, why the company was created, how do we help our clients, and a little bit about the history of the company. So why OpenLegacy was created? The company was created by two founders that came from Software AG and IBM, and they thought that just integration must be done in a different way. And the main focus around it was to try to do things much faster, becomes a lot more agile, and also becomes a lot more cost effective. So when we're starting to talk to our clients, the most important thing is to understand why we're even doing it. So one of the important part is that I think everybody understands now is that in order to participate in the API economy, a company needs to become a platform. Okay, and in order to become a platform, you need to make sure that almost every functionality or data point that you store in your core application must have an API, so it can be accessed by any other third party, whether it's internal or external. Now, when we talk to our company, with our customers, one of the things that is really important to emphasize that everybody is doing APIs today. The challenge is not if you can integrate, if you can actually generate the APIs and the digital services from the core application. It's actually the time that it takes to actually generate it, the flexibility, and also the skill set that are required in order to generate these services. So what we do feel that our customer need, and especially with the demands from the market, is actually how do they create an internal API factory, and how do they actually enable them to become a lot faster, focusing a lot on the speed, on the flexibility, and how they can generate cloud native APIs. So where do we play? So we are playing anywhere between the core application that you see on the left. We have a lot of experience working with mainframes, AS400, Oracle, SAP solution, different databases. The more complex and challenging it is, the more value we add. And what we do, we help them with accelerating the whole digital transformation, and more specifically move towards a more modern architecture and more specifically the microservice ecosystem. Now, what is it that we provide them? So we provide our clients with a platform that enables themselves. They don't need to have our services. They are able to generate microservice-based APIs from nearly any core applications. As I said, the more complex, difficult it is, the more value we add. And the most important thing is to actually focus on the results. So the main two, I would say, values that we provide to our customers is one is majorly reduce the cost of integration. And we're not talking about 10, 20% reduction. We are looking more on the 50 plus, and being able to show them that actually API, REST APIs can be delivered in a matter of like really hours versus the weeks and months that it typically takes when you have to deal with legacy solution. So the important part when we are doing any engagement with the client, whether it's a pilot or POC or of course any implementation, we always like to provide them something just like you see here, where it's a comparison between how do they do today without OpenLegacy and how they can potentially do with OpenLegacy. This is something that I've taken from one of the projects that we just recently went live with. You can see how much time they spend on design, build, test, deploy, how many teams needs to be involved in generating every single service, and most important, the cost associated with each service and the time that it takes the business to actually get what they want. And you see the differences with OpenLegacy. So this is really one of the main focuses in showing the value of our technology. Of course, when you're starting to get to high number of APIs and services, the more the more you look at it on the wider picture, the bigger the savings are. Again, these are some examples of some existing projects. So just to summarize, what are the really, because the API space is something that is becoming very crowded, it's very important to highlight that we are focusing on the generation of the APIs and not on the managing APIs. So the likes of RPG, Layer 7, even MuleSoft, we are able to work with them quite nicely. We will do the generation of the APIs. They typically will do the management of it. But the key differentiators, if you look at our solution and compare it with others, these are the main areas. One is really the speed. How quickly can you get the results? Two is the agility. We won't go into the too much details here, but our ability to move towards microservices and a more agile way of working from a monolithic solution is one of our key differentiators. The fact that we can promote and align with some of the best practices of CI/CD and DevOps. The other thing which is also very unique is the vendor lock-in. The fact that our company is really focusing on designing APIs and less on running them. This is, again, not something that you see in any other enterprise service bus or middleware. Typically, they will let you design the APIs, but then they will force you to run it on their platform. And also when it comes to deployment, we can deploy the services that we generate on-prem, or it can be done, or it can be deployed on any of the public cloud vendors that are available out there. Last but not least, as we said, we always want to be judged on results. So when we look at the cost per integration, it's something that not a lot of companies are actually measuring. But if you look at what you do, how much it actually costs you today versus the cost of OpenLegacy, thanks to the automation, standardization that we are able to achieve, it's dramatically different. Okay, so just a few words about the company. So the company was established in 2013. We are more than 140 people now, raised already 70 million up to now, and already have number of tier 1, tier 2 clients that you can see at the bottom. So I think that's all. Any questions or?
Thank you very much for pitching OpenLegacy to the audience. We have a minute time for a quick question, which I see in the app. What are the top things that differentiate OpenLegacy from standard ESB or SOA architecture?
It's mainly the result, the speed and the flexibility that we provide. We talk natively into the core applications. We use a lot of automation in order to expose the services, and it's all about really the results that we deliver.